What's up, y'all? This is Daryl D, and I would just like to take a few minutes to talk about the homie JDL who just passed. I actually woke up this morning to find out that JDL from the legendary Cod Crush Brothers had passed away. Um, I'm not sure if today is actually the date or if it was last night, but yeah, my man JDL is no longer with us. So I just want to take a few minutes and speak on JDL. Me being a big fan of the Cod Crush Brothers, of course, I've followed that group, for quite a while now. The first time, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, the first time I met JDL was on one of the Hush hip hop tours uh, that take place in New York City. The cool thing about the Hush tours is that they're usually hosted by a big name in hip hop culture. There's been a number of different people over the years that have hosted these tours. I've taken three of them myself, and the first one I took was a tour of the Bronx in Harlem, and that was hosted by Grandmaster Cass. The following year, and this is several years ago that I'm talking about, I took a second tour the year after the first. This was probably somewhere in the area of 2010, give or take a year or so. I'm not exactly sure. Somewhere in there. But the second tour I took was the Queens tour. The Queens tour just happened to be hosted by JDL. So, man, it was such a great tour. Now, I actually took two tours of the Queens tour, two years in a row. Let me tell you why, too. The first time that I took the tour, the charter bus, because they have these really nice, beautiful, comfortable charter buses that they use, and the charter bus had broken down, or there was some type of mechanical difficulty with the bus, so we weren't able to take it. And it wasn't a big tour, a big crowd that day, because the first one I took, there was, I don't know, probably 30 of us, 20, 30 of us at least. This tour was only four of us. No, it was only three of us. It was myself, and there were two guys. I believe they were from Berlin or something like that, and then JDL. And he comes over to us and he says, "Hey, look, here's the situation." He says, "I don't want to cancel the tour. I still want this to happen." So he says, "How about this? How about we can hop on the subway and like two stops away." He said, "We'll go and visit Five Points." Now, those who don't know, Five Points was I think it was like a 4 or 5 story building that was covered in graffiti. Very, very popular among, the graffiti heads or whatnot. I'm not a huge graffiti head. I like graffiti, but I don't necessarily follow it like that. But we all agreed, and we were like, all right, fine, cool, let's do it, And right before I think once we got off of the train, he took us to like a bodega, and he bought us snacks and stuff to drink, and then we went over, and it was cool because that particular day, we not only did we see some really cool graffiti, but we saw a few of the graffiti guys who were right there in the process of painting. And one guy was up on like a ladder. I think he was painting like the second story, something up there, whatever. And then somewhere in the building on the on the bottom floor there was like a store in there that sold like graffiti supplies and art, things of that nature. So it was real cool. And JDL was very apologetic, and he was accommodating us as best he could. Me personally, I was just happy, to be in New York and to be around this legend. um, the other two guys seem to be having a fantastic time too. I asked JDL, he was like, is there anything else I can do? And I said, hey, look, man, I said, I come to New York every summer for the Crotona Park jams. I told him I actually brought a Cod Crush record with me, and I would love for you to sign it. I said, but it's back at my hotel, and I didn't know I was going to be seeing you today. Otherwise, I would have brought it with me. I said, hey, maybe I would love it if maybe we could meet up tomorrow, and just so you could sign my album. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I'll come to anywhere you are in the whole city. He's like, what part of the city you staying in? I was like, I'm staying on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. He said, cool, I'm gonna come to you. So we made it around noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. And he met me, I want to say it was right on 100th and Broadway. Now, for those who are familiar with that area of New York, right there on that corner, there's a little bitty pizza shop, and that's where we ended up meeting. In fact, it's the exact same pizza shop that I ran into. Me and some homies ran into Dougie Fresh last summer. I did a video on that. But we sat in a pizza shop for like 2-3 hours, man. He bought me pizza. He bought me whatever I wanted, and we just sat there and talked, man. And he told me some amazing stuff. I wish I could remember every little bit of everything he told me, but I was very excited over the whole thing. He told me a lot of cool stories. One story in particular that I will share was he told me this story. Back in the day, I believe this was the early 80s, early to mid 80s, something like that. He was saying how at the time, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five were like ruling New York. They was just like ruling New York. They were the group. And they got signed at some point, and they ended up going on tour. And they were on tour, he was saying, for like a whole year straight. They were just never in town. Well, in that year that they were on tour, the Cod Crush ended up taking over New York City, and they was just like, ruling New York at that time. So I guess when they came off tour, a bunch of these guys had a show somewhere in New York. And JDL saying they were all in a dressing room, and Curtis Blow was back in the dressing room as well. So he said at some point, somebody from Cod Crush, I don't know if it was, no, I'm sorry, somebody from the Furious Five came into the dressing room, and I don't recall who he said. I don't remember if it was one of those members or if it was more than one. But he said somebody from that camp came into the dressing room, and they was just chopping it up. And they basically asked the Cod Crush, hey, we're back in town. Can, we trying to take the town back, basically, is what it ended up being. And wanted them to do wanted them to calm down as far as their show, as far as, bring down the energy level of their show, so that they could do their thing and basically try to recapture what they had. And I he says that whoever that was that came in there and said that ended up walking out of the dressing room or whatever area they were in, and he said Curtis Blow was like, "Yo, F that, man, forget all that. Y'all go out there and rock it." I'm paraphrasing basically, but y'all go out there and rock that stage and blah blah blah, and he said Kurt was not having that, was not trying to hear that. He was like, "Y'all go out there and do what y'all always do." And JDL was like, "That's exactly what we did. We went out there and we tore that stage down." And he's just got story after story after story. Some of the stories I can't really speak on because you know how that is. Anyway, um, yeah, he autographed some stuff for me, and we exchanged numbers and all of that, and it was just well, we had exchanged numbers the day before, but I thought it was so nice of him to kind of make up for the tour, because we were like severely shortchanged. It was a Queens tour too, so there was a whole lot, and I'll get into a little bit more of that in just a second. So he was just trying to make things right and accommodate, me. And I thought it was really cool that, he hung out the way he did and shared all of this, man, this hardcore, hip hop experiences with me, and just blowing my mind about a lot of stuff. Um, so then the next year rolls around. So I rescheduled for another Queens tour. And sure enough, JDL is hosting that tour as well. This time we had like a full bus of people. Um, it was a lot of people from all over the country and different parts of the world. It was really cool. He's got a great sense of humor. He was a great host, the way he talked to people and was interacting with people. The issue with this second tour I went on was that they had some new driver, and the driver got us lost. And like half of the tour, half of the time that we should have been at these different spots, we were just lost. We weren't where we were driving. We were in the bus. We did end up going by. We went by the barber shop. No, I'm sorry. There's a hamburger shop, like a popular hamburger shop in Queens, and it's the shop where outside on the side of the building they have the Jam Master Jay mural. That place, they were closed unfortunately, but we got out and we took some pictures of the wall with Jam Master Jay on it. That remember that show? I think it was on MTV. It was like a reality show about that barber shop in Queens. We got out there, and some of the people went inside and talked to. I don't recall going inside. I'm not sure if I went in or not, but I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't really feeling that part of the tour. And then we drove by the McDowell's from Coming to America, the McDonald's or whatever. We drove by there. We drove by the studio where Jam Master Jay, passed. That was wild. That was crazy. We ended up driving by the Disco Fever. We didn't stay there no, not the Disco Fever. That was with Cass. Never mind that. We ended up driving by the high school that LL Cool J went to, and that's on the back of the Bad album, or the front of the Bad album. And I guess a whole lot of other hip hop cats went there. Ed Lover, a bunch of people from rap went to that school. We also went to LL Cool J's grandmother's house where he grew up. Um, that was cool because I'd seen the pictures, from past magazines or whatever. And so that was cool to be there, and the Audi 5000, that red Audi 5000 that LL had and used to talk about back in the 80s. But that was in the driveway, and one of the this guy who's a caretaker just happened to come out while we no, not a caretaker. They have a caretaker for the house, but there was a neighborhood guy who came walking through, and the he knows a lot of the hip hop cats, including the caretaker who was taking care of that house. And he said, "Hey man, DMC was just here in the area. Let me call him and see if we can get him back over here." And so he called like DMC right there in front of us. Unfortunately, he had already left the area. We didn't get to see him. But there was a lot of cool things that we did see, and a number of things that we didn't get to see while we were over there. Um, it was a nice tour for what it was. Outside of that, I would run into JDL at Crotona Park, and I believe he was also at this Crotona Park after party. I believe I ran into him there. But I would run into him every now and then. I heard that he had gotten sick and wasn't doing too well. This goes back maybe a couple years at least. So I haven't seen JDL for, man, it's been a little while actually. It's been some years. I think the last time I saw JDL was back before COVID. So that's been quite a few years. But yeah, man, it was just a real cool guy. You know, I really appreciated the time that he gave me. He was always cool, always approachable, always nice. Whenever I would run into him, he was he was always approachable and humble, and always just a nice all around guy. Nice guy all around. So definitely rest in peace to JDL from the Cod Crush, and I just wanted to share my experiences that I had with him over the years in traveling to New York. So thank you guys for hanging out and listening to my little stories here, and yeah, Cod Crush forever. This is Daryl D. Peace and love.